everyone. I cannot wait to film this. We're going to talk about the classic features and why Coco Chanel designed the classic flap the way she did. And also the second part is going to be 10 features so that you can kind of focus on the bag you're looking at to see, is this really real or fake? I'm not an expert. I got all of this way in the past. When I first started buying these, I did not have a Chanel boutique near me, and I still don't. The closest was St. Louis. That Chanel store closed, so there is none near me now. But back then, I didn't know any better, so I had to navigate the eBay sites, and I didn't even know about Fashion File then. So what I had to do was I had to go on YouTube and research what makes it an authentic Chanel. And so through that, my love, of course, of handbags drove me to all that. And I absolutely love talking about them. If you're into the fake stuff, great. If you're not going to pay a lot of money thinking you got a real Chanel flat bag. If you've never joined me before, my name is Jennifer. I upload a couple videos a week. I absolutely love filming videos. My love is handbags. If you've never subscribed, please do so. And always hit that notification bell that's at the bottom there so you know when I've uploaded my next video. Let's get started. The Chanel Classic Flap was made in 1960 by Coco Chanel, and she designed a bag for the first time in fashion history that was for women to be hands-free. It was designed to be a shoulder bag. Everything about this Chanel Classic Flap has a meaning. So first off, the chains. The Chanel Classic Flap bags all have interwoven leather with the metal, and they're interlocking. She was an orphan, and in the orphanage, this reminded her of the rosaries. The CC interlocking clasp at the front is actually a more modern version, but it's that square rectangular lock. That is the original lock on the Chanel Classic Flaps. This is the newer version. This is the updated version. This is either going to come quilted or in the chevron pattern. This is in the quilted pattern. This is in the lambskin, and it'll either come in either lambskin material, which is this, or it'll come in caviar. The lambskin, though, off subject, is easier to buff out the scratches than the caviar. Once this caviar is scratched, you cannot buff it out. On the back of these classic flat bags, you have the Mona Lisa smile pocket. It has, again, the quilting on the back, and on the bottom, this is not puffy quilts, this is just flat. The double flaps, which this is, has 2 grommets. If it's a single flap, it just has the one. When you open up a classic flat bag, you have a metal plate that will say Chanel Paris, and this is the metal plate. And then you have Coco Chanel's secret pocket where she kept her love notes. She remained single her whole life. She had a boyfriend named Boy Chappelle, and she would keep his love notes in there. This pocket only goes up, it doesn't go down. When I first got my first Chanel, I thought that I got duped because this pocket didn't go down, and it's not supposed to. I wish someone had told me that. But this just goes up. There is one pocket back here that's full length all the way down. And then you have, this is a double flap. The double flap helps the double flap bag keep its shape over time. So it doesn't get this kind of pinchy look. Over time with the single flaps, you get a more pinched look. But with this, it keeps a more rounded look. When you open up this flap, you have the CC emblem here, a snap to close that down. You have a front pocket, and you have a middle pocket with 2 compartments to hold Chanel blush cosmetic cases, and one for the Chanel lipstick. This is the front, which is quilted as well. She made the inside burgundy lining to remember the school uniforms that she had to wear. This is the color of her school uniforms in the orphanage. And she designed the quilted pattern after the stable hands vests. So let's go through the 10 features of an authentic Chanel Classic Flap. Number 1, when you look at the bag, get a feel. Does it look right? Right away, you should see a couple things. You should have these match. So from the flap to the base, When you look at them, they should continue. They should continue, they should continue, and they should continue. They shouldn't be off by much, and even the diamonds match up here as well. When you flip the bag over, the same thing should happen on the Mona Lisa smile. Everything should match, and everything should match. So all the diamonds are complete at the edges of the Mona Lisa pocket. The chain should feel like a substantial chain, and it shouldn't feel light or cheap like plastic. This is good metal, and it's a good heavy weight. And the leather should be carefully interlaced between each one. And there's almost like a little flat surface to the gold chain, and that gives off that little extra bit of extra right there. You'll see that on all the chains. The stitching on these leathers are done on the inside. You will not see the stitches on the outside except for where it ends. So all the stitching is on the inside. The back Mona Lisa pocket also has the burgundy lining. When you look at the CC clasp, you should actually listen. And you know, I always do this. I prefer this snap to not creak like there's something loose. I prefer a good snap just like that. I don't like when it has that plasticky sound. I did learn since I filmed this first one in the past spring that the vintage flat bags will eventually get that kind of springy sound. This is from 1994 to 1997, and I don't hear that at all, so I'm super pleased with this, that I was blessed to find this vintage bag. And vintage means that it's more than 20 years or more old. Okay, I know, I spend so much time listening, I love it. Whenever you open the bag up, listen. It should sound like good quality leather. Chanel never is sloppy with all its workmanship. Every piece is done perfectly. And so this sounds very nice. It shouldn't sound fake at all like a plastic bag. How good that sounds. And use your nose. Oh, it should smell good. From 1994 to 1997, you can still smell that this is beautiful lambskin leather. So you listen to the bag, and now you smell the bag. Now touch the bag. The touch is really, trust your gut feeling. If you're touching a bag and you're like, oh, it smells okay, it sounds okay, but you know, when I touch it, it just doesn't feel right. Don't do it. There's so many chances to get one. So just trust your senses. The hearing, the smelling, and the touching. When you open the bag up, look at the plate. The plate should have Chanel Paris, and the words should be facing the same direction to the right. So there's the words. And these screws should be flathead screws. They should not be Phillips screws. The Phillips screws are the ones with the cross. These should be flathead, which is just one thing. And it can be authentic and not all be perfect facing the same way. That, like, you know, one's a little bit off, that's okay. When you look at the CCs on the modern Chanel flat bags, you'll see that the snap goes through the middle of the CCs and goes between the A and the N. I have the older vintage, so it does not go between the A and the N, it crosses through. But look carefully. The stitching on the CCs is so fine that you can hardly see the stitching around the C and the C. If you're seeing coarse stitching where you can almost, when it's just really coarse stitch work, that's usually a fake. And the super fakes are going to be so good. Back to the stitching. The stitching here should be between, each square should have between 10 to 12 stitches. And if it has less than that, it's not an authentic Chanel. The stitch work is very fine throughout each square. You look inside, the leather should not be easily taken up at the bottom. So this is one piece of leather bonded to another piece of leather. So this leather should be tight against that base. If you can pick it up, then that is not an authentic Chanel. Next thing, the authenticity sticker should be on the front, inside on the left. So if you're looking at the bag, it's on the front inside. And it's going to be a sticker that is going to be, if you're looking at it this way, it'll be facing you correctly. And there's so many good websites talking about date codes for Chanel, so you can date your bag. And it'll talk about whether the one has a serif, which is like the line on the bottom of the one, or not. Now let me make sure I covered everything. Oh, the authenticity card. The Chanel authenticity card will be a series of numbers, and those numbers should match the authenticity sticker of the bag. Now remember, this bag, when you remember I did the unboxing, this one came from Fashionable without the authenticity card. I grabbed this card from my Chanel mini vanity case, so you can see that it should be about the width of a credit card. It's not flimsy, it's not paper, it's real good plastic. The gold around it should not be holographic. So it should be just a really good card with no holographic of the gold. So if you're holding your card up to the light and it kind of has that rainbow appearance, then that is not an authentic authenticity card. Finally, the packaging that you receive your Chanel bag in should not have any plastic around it. The Chanel flat bags will come with paper loosely around these and around the bag. They will not be lined in plastic at all anywhere. The type of paper that the Chanel bag will come in is this type of paper. It is acid-free paper, so it is just really, really nice paper. It doesn't disintegrate over time like most tissue paper. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again in my next video.